Well, hello folks, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Welcome back to our channel. And in response to a lot of requests and against my better judgment, we are bringing Brother Jeff back on the program. And today he's going to react to a video entitled The Greatest End Time Sign, Revelation 12, September 23, 2017, by Mr. Scott Clarke of ERFministries.com. Scott makes Bible videos, he makes current event videos, and tries to use a good dose of humor. He has nearly 100,000 followers, I believe, and the man knows how to make a video. His production is excellent. His quality is of the highest order, and I have a lot of respect for the way he makes a video. We'll see what Brother Jeff thinks about the content of his videos. And by the way, I'd like to ask some of my technical experts out there. I have, the nice broadcast headset. I've got a small little mixer board, and unfortunately for Brother Jeff's part, I don't know how to allow us to hear Scott and Brother Jeff at the same time using this good professional broadcast headset. So if you could tell me, send me a note, tell me how I can run both the sound from the computer here of Scott and be able to talk to you, have you hear Scott and me hear Scott through the high quality system. I'd be glad if you could. I'm sure it's very simple, but my technical skills are not that great. So if somebody out there could show me, could tell me, could help me with that, I'd be eternally grateful. I want to be able to run, I want to be able to run the video and the audio from here and from here through the board, so I can hear it, you can hear it, and you can also hear Brother Jeff at the same time. We had to go to our external microphone, and I apologize because the quality is not really there, but the content I think is outstanding. We just finished recording Brother Jeff. He dressed up for y'all. But Brother Jeff is going to react to this September 23rd, 2017 video by Scott Clarke of ERFministries.com. You can see his URL here for his YouTube page, Eternal Rhythm Flow, if you'd like to check him out. Well, I guess I don't have any other choice but to present to some of you and introduce to others the irrepressible, one of a kind. Thank the inexpressible one for that. Here he is, folks. Brother Jeff.
Oh, yeah. You know who it is. I'm back. And this time, I dressed all up real nice for you. Because this is Brother Jeff. I'm back here. Daugherty done asked me to do another one of these reaction videos. Talk about what some people are talking about. I guess he liked how I done it last time. And this time we're talking about this fella over here with this whole greatest end time sign, Revelation 12, September 23, 2017. Everybody all worried. It's all going to blow up. It's all going to end. It's all going to go away. Now, I want you to know it's already now, June 13th. Why don't you all just go ahead, since you're not going to need it, and send it on over to Daugherty, that money, them houses, them cars. He'll take care of it. Put it to good use, work on them tribulation saints, as y'all like to say. But we're going to talk about this anyway. Scott Clarke, ERFministries.com. We're on his YouTube channel, YouTube/Eternal Rhythm and Flow. Oh, he's all fancy. He's Eternal Rhythm and Flowing. So we're gonna talk about what Scott talks about. Is that his name, Scott? Scott Clarke. Now he ain't got as many followers as Breaker19, but he's not doing too bad. 75,000. Good Lord, that's like 70,000 more than Daugherty. Whoo, man, don't tell him about that. It'll make him feel bad. But y'all doing real good. I mean, lots of people coming in every single day. And that makes it real good. But let's get into this and let's talk about it. Now, one thing I will say about old Scott Clarke, This feller know how to make a video. His videos, they are slicker than snot on a doorknob. Let me tell you. And I know a thing or two about snot on a doorknob. He's pretty darn slick, this Scott. But let's see how much he's got going for him in the upstairs department, if you know what I mean. Does he got bats in the belfry? Or is he doing some good teaching? So here we go. Ooh, fancy. I told you, slicker than snot on a doorknob. Absolutely. He's slick. Slick Rick. Should call him Slick Rick instead of Scott.
The biggest topic in Bible prophecy for those who are awake and aware is Revelation 12.
Scott, I just got to say this. Those who are into Bible prophecy and are awake and aware, I think you got what's called a contradiction in terms. Because from what I can see is all you fellas that is into Bible prophecy, as you call it, your eschatology and all that stuff, you sleeping like babies when it comes to talking about real stuff. So I don't know about them people that is awake about Bible prophecy, but what we're trying to do here is going to be wakey, eggs and bakey. I tell you that right now. Grits, the whole 9 yards. It's ready to coming at you, Scott.
Because it looks like there is a sign in the heavens in September of this year.
Looks like to who? Stop sign? Yield sign? Go sign? What kind of sign?
2017. That lines up exactly with Revelation 12, 1 and 2.
Lines up exactly with Revelation 12, 1 and 2.
Which describes a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She is in labor, and she is giving birth to a male child. Once born, is immediately caught up to the throne in heaven.
Come on, man.
Due to the threat of a dragon, he tries to devour the
He got that right. There is a dragon.
child as soon as it's born.
Oh, that's a scary
This
dragon.
is a clear picture of the pre-tribulation rapture of the body.
Come on now, Scott. This is a very clear picture, he said, of the rapture of the pre-tribulation rapture of the body. I think you're going to say of Christ.
Of Messiah, the church.
Oh, it's a clear picture of the pre-tribulation rapture of the body of Messiah. Let me give you a clear picture of the pre-tribulation everything of the body of Messiah. You mind? Francisco Rivera. You know him and Scott, they look a little alike, don't they? Rivera, Scott. Rivera, Scott. Rivera, did I fool you? They do look a little bit alike though, don't they? You put a little bushy hair on top of Scott's bald little head. Where'd he go? Put a little bushy hair on top of his bald little pea-picking head. They do look alike, don't they? Oh, that's funny. Put a dress on Paul. No, please don't put no dress on Paul. But anyway, if you want to know a clear picture of the pre-tribulation rapture of the church, let me show it to you. Because it was this guy right here, Francisco Rivera, and he was a Jesuit theologian. That's a guy that talks Bible talk. And he's identified with the futurist Christian eschatological, good Lord, that's a big word, view. In order to remove the papacy of the Catholics from consideration as anti-Christ, because that's what the Protestant Reformation was teaching. In 1585, man, that was a while back, wasn't it? 1585, he wrote this thing that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. It was talking about how the book of Revelation, it's talking about a future. It's yet future. It's yet future. It's yet future. It's yet future. Now, up until 1585, everybody thought that the book of Revelation was done already happened. But now they say, oh, it's going to be in the future. The Antichrist, rebuilt temple, destroy Rome, kill witnesses, conquer world, 3.5 years of tribulation. And he just talked about pre-tribulation. Well, brother, cousin, there wasn't no talking no tribulation till 1585. And in 1585, it was a Jesuit priest. That's a Catholic. That's a Jesuit. That's a bad guy. So, the Jesuit priest twin over here, Scott, I wonder, does he know he's talking about Jesuit priest kind of stuff?
The rapture is a birth. That means that we are a baby. Now, prior to birth, we are in gestation. That means that prior to gestation, a conception had to take place. This is what happened at Pentecost 2,000 years ago, Acts chapter 2, 1 through 4. And I've taught on that over the last year. I have so much information about this. I've studied this so deeply over the last year that for the most part, I almost don't know where to start a lot of times making videos because it's secular. Everything is connected to everything else. So I have a hard time knowing where to start and where to end. I'm going to try to give you some information that I've been sitting on for a long, long time. A lot of this I have brought forth. As you know, that I made a video where I was in my truck last summer, and I told you what was on my heart. I told you that I had discovered some amazing things, and I had to untie some knots. There's things that we've been told in Christianity.
Hope they weren't in his drawers.
That are totally false and backwards.
Uh-huh.
One of those is that the church was born at Pentecost. And I've cleared that up in some of my other videos. A lot of my subscribers have understood this now. That has been completely misunderstood, and it's in countless books, countless sermons. People still say that the church was born at Pentecost. It was not born at Pentecost. It was conceived at Pentecost. This is a birth story which relates to the natural of how a real baby comes into being. You've got to have a father. You've got to have a mother. The mother has an egg. The father has a seed. The seed enters into the egg, and then a new creation is formed with its own DNA. And we are, Paul says, a new creation. It's a birth story that has never been accurately told because Revelation 12, the rapture in Revelation 12 was never understood. How many...
All right, now hold up a minute. You done gone from the rapture. You done gone from the Jesuit priest trying to bring it down to John. John never talked about no damn rapture in Revelation 12. He just didn't.
Births are there. Is the rapture a birth? But also...
No, the rapture's a myth.
at Pentecost, the beginning of the church was also a birth? No. When somebody is saved, is that a birth? Is that a second birth?
What are they saved from, Scott? What are they saved from? The Christ said that y'all are not born with original sin. You got the spark of divinity within you. So answer me this. What are you saved from? I want to get saved. Jesus saves. What's he use? Coupons? What's he saving? What we got to be saved from? That's what I want to know.
Born again? The Father led me to answer my questions on these things.
Whose Father?
There's out of those three, Pentecost being a birth, salvation being a birth, and the rapture being a birth, only one can be true, because you can only be born in one.
So is he fixing to tell us the one that's true is from the rapture, which is false, which was started by a Jesuit priest? Are you okay with that? I'm not okay with that.
Birth story. There's only one birth. You've got to get the timeline of a birth correct. All you ladies out there, you know, the fertilization of your egg is the first thing that takes place. and then a gestation period of growth of the baby, and then the birth.
Well, it ain't the first thing that takes place.
The story. The birth story. So, I've been sitting on so much information here in the last year or so, in deeply
That's what she
discovering
said.
this story. I'm going to try to tell you a few things here today. And everything I'm going to share with you is not new to me, but it's going to be new to you because I haven't put it all out in video form.
Oh,
a lot of this
Scott's the
I have
only one
told
that
to
knows
a lot
it.
of friends on the phone, and when I Skype with people and talk to them, there's countless people who know this information in the background, but I haven't put it in video form yet. But I want to open up some things here, and we're going to talk about the rapture and the tribulation period, because it is
neither one of which is in the Bible. Rapture? Invented by who? Invented by Scott's twin? This fella right here, Francisco Ribera, Jesuit. He's the one that invented rapture. He's the one that invented Antichrist. He's the one that invented tribulation, 3.5 years. Scott, you look like him. Scott, you sound like him.
connected to this birth story all over the scriptures. Let's begin. The best place to start is at the end, because in my research, what I did, once I understood Revelation 12 correctly, the characters, which is of epic importance, you have to understand that this child is not the Messiah being born. That already happened. This is a future prophecy. This is...
I just got to stop him right there. The best place to start is at the end if you've already decided what you want to believe and you're just trying to work your way back to figure out ways to believe it. That darter, you know, with that anthropology and that theology and that Bible college and them 100,000 hours, I was there, he done it. And see, he used to have that thing where you start at the end. This is what I believe. Let's get to proving it. But now, old Darty, what he does, don't make a video as slick as Scott, but what he does is he says, let's start at the beginning. Let's get all the information out, and by the time we get to the end, let's take all that information from start to finish, and then let's make us a decision. Instead of saying, here's what we think, let's go back and get to proving it, and let's look at the things we want to look at, and let's forget the things we don't want to look at. Shame on you, Scott.
his body. In Colossians 1:18, it says that he is the head, but we are the body. He's in two parts right now. The head is already at the throne. The body is on earth. But
his God is headless. Scott's God is headless. His body's down here now, like Frankenstein. Like that lady that Darty done talked about the other day over there in England, riding up in the carriage with her head in her hand. So the head is up in heaven. Oh, look at that. Burp. But the body down here on earth. His God is headless. I don't know. I don't want no headless God. Go ahead.
But we have to go to the throne. That's what happens when the birth happens. Revelation 12:5, the child is born and caught up to the throne.
Anybody want to tell me how a headless baby can live, or a headless God can live, or a headless body? What is this, horror stories? I'm going to go see me the Mummy, maybe tomorrow. I think maybe a mummy could live headless. I know no vampire can do it. Ain't no werewolf can do it. But Scott's God, or the body, or whoever it is, they can live headless. I find that to be rather remarkable. That's a big word for me. Okay, Scott, regale me.
That is the same thing as the rapture, as we meet him in the clouds, and then we go to be with him forevermore.
You remember how Darty was talking about the rapture, and y'all that didn't see it, it's down there in the bottom of that little old box. What Paul said is that the dead in Christ was going to rise first. That's what Scott here is talking about. And then they which alive and remain was going to be gathered up together with them in the air, and all going to be hanging out with the Lord. But the funny thing is,
the bodies don't put on incorruption. The dead don't become incorruptible to the last trump. Last trump don't happen way down into Revelation. So, what you got, Scott, is you got a bunch of zombies for at least 3.5 years, 7 years, depending upon your theology, you got to deal with. So my recommendation to you, cousin, is you better start praying right now that Rick and Daryl and Maggie and the little boy, what's his name, Carl, and some of them zombie fighters make your rapture, because you're going to have zombies up there in the air with you. That sounds too scary to me. I don't want no part of it. Well, go ahead, Scott.
The head meets the body. That
Headless zombies, maybe. I don't know.
needs to take place. Hasn't happened yet.
Zombie die when his head's gone, but not his
12,
God.
We'll just get that foundation, and then I'm going to reverse engineer some things. You're going to want to stick with this. I can't tell you everything. If you're confused about some things, you have some question. Who is the dragon? I have a video.
Scott going to start at the end. He's going to tell you what he believes, then he's going to back engineer some things. Now, if you want to be a believer of the back engineering, let's decide what we believe and work it back, you can. But if you want to be a believer of, let's start from the beginning, let's work it out, you can do that too. Darty's doing that all day, every day. Yes, she is.
On the dragon. A lot of people ask me that in the comments. Just go check my channel and go back and research if you're interested in this. I've got more videos on this than anybody on YouTube, spanning all the way back 6 years. So
I don't know about that.
Out the videos, just watch everything, and the stuff in the last year is more accurate because that's when I had to make some changes in my own thinking.
In other words, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about till about this year. Then I figured it out, changed it around, because I was back engineering, because I done messed it up because it didn't make no sense. So I had to back engineer to keep all 75,000 of y'all happy. That's what he's saying.
Revelation 12, 1 and 2. And a great sign was seen in the Shamayim, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. And being pregnant, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. I'll also let you know that I'll be reading from the Hallelujah Scriptures, which accurately changes some words and gets a little Hebrew on you, but that's the language that they spoke back then. When I say Shamayim, that means...
There's only one problem with that, Scott. Revelation's in the New Testament. The New Testament wasn't written in no Hebrew. The New Testament was written in some Greek. So your Hallelujah Bible is the Hallelujah Bible.
Means heavens, all three of them. Paul was caught up to the third heaven. That means there's at least 3 heavens. So it's always plural. The English gets it wrong and makes it singular. Shamayim, this is heavens.
What it says in the book is the visible realm of the sky. Very simple, very easy. Get you the interlinear like Darty does. Go to BibleHub.com, put it in, look at it, the visible sky. Whoa.
And then it says another sign was seen in the Shamayim, and a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his heads. And his tail draws a third of the stars of the Shamayim and throws them down to earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she gave birth to a male child, a son, who was to shepherd all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up to Elohim and to his throne. We'll leave it there at verse 5. My error.
And there are many
books that I have read. So many books have said that this is just the virgin birth that happened 2,000 years ago. It's not. It's a...
Y'all see a Bible in there? Y'all see a Hebrew or Greek English interlinear in there? I see Hal Lindsey. I see some Bud Moons. I don't see no interlinears.
Another virgin birth, as shown in the heavens. The child is the church being born. Questions that people have about, but he has an iron rod. So obviously in the Psalms, Yahweh gave his son the iron rod to rule and reign with.
Okay, now we just got to stop this here for a minute. You see this thing right down here? This is that book that old Darty wrote, Final Message of the Last Apostle. That's a lousy cigar. Ain't no good at all. And let's take a look at what old Darty had to say about Revelation chapter 12. So let's go ahead and take a look, because Darty don't do it like he does it. Darty says, let's just start at the beginning and let's just read what the language has to say. How about that? I'm going to take my turn at just showing you what Darty was saying. And he's coming from the Greek, okay? Not the Hebrew, because this New Testament was written in some Greek and not no Hebrew. A woman was clothed with the sun. She was enshrouded with some light. And this is Greek 4016. You know it ain't Hebrew. Notice that. Scotch needs to wake up and say, oh, that's not no Hebrew. That's some Greek. So she was enshrouded with light. Excuse me. No, I ain't got no hair on my chest. You don't see no hair growing on a playground, do you? Ha ha! Grass don't grow on no busy streets, honey. Anyway. Boop. He said, the word said, the light and glory of the Elohim is in clear view. It's a clear image of progenitry, of divinity, I mean. It's the woman is the one that made humanity. It shows us that there was a strong feminine presence at the creation of mankind. Because you remember when Scott said Elohim? But what Scott won't tell you is Elohim, that means gods and goddesses, male and female. And all you have to do is go to that BibleHub.com interlinear, look at it. So when man was created and shrouded with light of the Elohim, both woman and man. So the woman feminine essence that Scott and all his rat bastard servers, they've been trying to get rid of it. They were clothed with the sun. And upon her head was a crown. Now this is important, y'all, because Darty done told me about this one. It's a wreath or a garland. It's not like a crown, like, you know, some old king, like a King James would wear and messes all hair up with a crown. No, this is like a wreath given to them fellers that won the Olympics. And they used to do that naked at the beginning. I don't know if you knew that or not. And the significance of that is important. And like Scott said, it was a woman having a child. Now, if we don't start at the end where we think we know it all, but we start at the beginning and we follow how the words work and it follows up. He told me not to take no more than no half hour, so I'm going to try to fix it up. But it's a picture of how the Elohim, male and female, gods and goddesses, in their original creation of humanity. It's showing us how our own Genesis was like a painstaking task that was only perfected after a lot of work on the Elohim. I like how Darty does this. He brings it right down to the original Greek. And it says this: a great sign showed up in the sky that you can see, the heavenlies. A woman, the mother of humanity. This is what the Greek says, not the Hebrew from the Huga Shaga Munga Luga Bible that old Scott's over there reading from, because there wasn't no Hebrew, it was Greek. And this woman is the mother of humanity according to the Greek. I'll shut up now. A great sign appeared in the heavenlies, a woman, the mother of humanity. She was enshrouded with the light and glory of the Elohim. And on her head she wore a wreath woven from the earth, and she was about to give birth. Oh, that even rhymes. Now tell me, what makes more sense? That this ain't what it says that it is supposed to be. It's what Scott says that it's like to be, or is it what the Greek says it's going to be? It's up to y'all to figure it out for yourself. And then there appeared another wonder up in heaven, a great red dragon. Hebrew or Greek. See, Scott got me saying Hebrew when his Greek is best rendered a fiery, huge red serpent. Here's all them Greek words that Darty talks about. It's often translated dragon because it looks like a serpent breathing fire through its nostrils. So a huge fiery serpent dragon showed up on the scene. So if we look at the rest of John's writings, if we don't work from the end when we've already decided what we believe and try to back engineer it and work it all and twist it all and turn it all around and figure out what we can take that proves what we already decided we think, instead of starting at the beginning and add it all together and let that tell us what to think. Well, the rest of John's writings, we see the exact same symbolism somewhere else. The earth was without form, it was void. I saw it broken down at the presence of the Lord by his fierce anger. Jeremiah wrote that. Smashing, razing, breaking down, with fiery, burning, fierce wrath blasted through his nostrils. Does that sound like a dragon to you? Does that sound like it make more sense of what the Greek is saying than what fella over here saying the Hugashaga version of the Hebrew of the Greek of the New Testament of the Church of Scott says? It's up to y'all, but I don't know. The actions of the fiery dragon, who's the Lord in Jeremiah 4, exactly the same actions of that fiery dragon in Revelation 12. Dragon ain't nothing but a big old mean lizard. The Lord, he's always talked about. I know Darty calls him a rat bastard, and he is, but in the Bible he's always described as a reptile with brutal intent. And is there anything else that could point out the Lord as a dragon? Well, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the that the Lord God has made. Serpent means subtle and crafty. Paul said, being crafty, I caught you with guile. So Paul said, I'm just like a serpent. I'm just like a snake. I'm just like a dragon. Paul took pride. This one over here that Scott said, oh, Paul, he's showing us the real way. Don't believe the original Greek. Go with the Hugashaga Mangarunga version that talks about the Hebrew that was really Greek, that wasn't Hebrew but was Greek. But Paul told us about it. And Paul said, look, I'm just like a snake. I'm crafty. And the Lord is crafty, and the snake is crafty. Paul said, being crafty, I done caught y'all. Now, I feel sorry for Scott because he's a smart fella and he could do a lot of good work if he could help Darty out with his videos. Woo! But Scott done been caught by a crafty snake. A crafty snake that and a little snake that worked for him. Scott done been caught by the big red dragon and the little green gecko Paul. Paul said, listen, y'all, I done caught you like a snake with some guile. Now, the word literally means, in the Greek, that he says in the Hugashaga is really Hebrew, it means a fraud. Oh, Lord, there's our first Antichrist, talking about his duplicity, saying, I done caught y'all with my guile because I'm a snake serving a snake. The serpent. And this is Brown Driver Briggs. There's some guys that wrote a bunch of books that tell you how to study the Bible, and it's all about the language. It's not about like Scott's bookshelf, what people think is going to sell some books for them and allow them to have some money. No, it's talking about the actual Greek, not the Hugashaga Hebrew that was Greek, that wasn't really, but he says it is. A strong case can be made. This is what them Brown Driver Briggs say. A strong case can be made connecting that fiery red dragon, or Revelation 12, with the crafty tempter enemy dragon. If it looks like a dragon, if it walks like a dragon, it's probably a dragon, folks. No matter what the Hugashaga Hebrew that was from the Greek really, but not kind of version. Let's get down to the part here where he's talking about that rod of iron, because, you know, Darty didn't write this to be just about that. So let's get down back to that Revelation part so we can talk about this rod of iron and then we can catch up with Scott, and maybe next time we can talk some more talk with him. So this is talking about how he done stuck us in these mud bodies. Yaldabaoth created man in a phony way. He done put us in some mud bodies. That's from the Nag Hammadis. And the Lord, Marduk, and Zu, they're the same thing as the guy in Genesis 1:1, 1:2. Okay. So here's that great red dragon showing up in the Bible again. And he didn't have no wreaths on his head, but he had some crowns on his head. Now, it's important for y'all to see that the fiery red serpent dragon, that little gecko, I see Paul like the little insurance lizard. Hi, I'm Paul. I think I'm crafty, but I'm really kind of silly. I think I'm crafty. I done caught Scott with some guile. Oh, I think I've caught Scott with some guile. I know I can't do them impersonations. But anyway, this dragon feller, he's wearing crowns, not wreaths like the woman's wearing. Well, why does that make a big old difference? Because a diadem is a different word in the Greek for one thing. And the difference is crucial because the woman, what she's wearing is of a natural origin. It done come from a plant of the earth. She's one with nature. She's working with nature. She's respecting nature. She's protecting nature. She's like that Gaia Sophia lady Darty'd been talking to you about. She's like the living earth goddess, that Sitchin feller who's, I think, a little smarter than Scott, probably. Probably smart as Darty, too, I think. You know, Sitchin knew more about them other kind of scratchy languages than Jeff does. I know that's the truth. And then Darty does, too. But the diadem of the Lord is not something natural. It's not something associated with the Mother Earth that we all live on and that we all should be excellent to, like we're being excellent to each other. The diadem of the Lord is a band of metal. It's man-made. It carries a sense of lordship and superiority over nature. And that's what this attitude is. Look around, y'all. See what they done to your earth with this attitude. This attitude of we're the Lord of it, and give me a double front bicep pose, and let's go ahead and do a most muscular pose, and let's just do all this stuff and take authority and wreck up this whole earth. Lord, the earth done be crying out. It's pollution and all kind of stuff from this kind of attitude from these guys like Scott. Now, he may be a nice feller, but he's part of the wrecking crew, my friend. And his tail, like Scott was saying, it drew out a third part of the stars. And what it says in the Greek, not the Hebrew, from the Hugashaga, it came out of the spiritual heavens. And it cast him into the earth, or the arena in which we live in. The space and time which God uses to prepare us. That's from them Greek and Hebrew scholar fellas. Now, Darty asked him a real interesting question right here. Did the Lord successfully lure him a third of those Elohims into his cause? And he was talking yesterday about, did them fellers come from Orion? Is this the genesis of the Christian tradition that 1/3 of the angels done fell? You gotta wonder if this isn't also tied to them Anunnaki fellers, them sons of God fellers. Could it be talking about the same thing? See, when we don't start at the end and to say, oh, this is what we believe, then we're going to back engineer, queer the whole thing up, and we can just decide, oh, yeah, this is what we believe, because ain't nobody going to check anyway. As long as they pay their tithes, we don't care. We just want them to stay here in the church. We want to entertain them. How about, what if them Anunnakis and them Elohims and them sons of God is all kind of the same thing? But then, like Scott was saying, the dragon, he done stood right in front of that woman who was pregnant. She's about to give birth to a little baby, and he was going to eat up that baby just as soon as it was born. Now, you heard what Scott said about it, but what's the Greeks say about it? She brought forth a man-child. She brought forth a man-child. The one that, you know, had the wreath and all that kind of stuff. The rat, you know, the good from the earth. She was looking all purty with it, you know, woven into her hair, and a long flowing dress, and probably nice long, you know, brunette hair coming down, and green eyes. And she was like, "Oh, hi there." Oh, I'm sorry. Get back to this. And she done had a boy child, a boy baby. And that boy baby, he was supposed to rule everything with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God, or the inexpressible one, as Darty would like to say. But see, the wise and the righteous Elohims, the male and the females, they already had them a plan in mind to take care of what this dragon was going to try to do. And like Darty tells y'all, if you'll help this fella out, he's a good guy. He's working day and night, sleeping like 4.5, 5 hours a day, putting out this stuff for you. Second hardest working man on YouTube after Rex Bear, I think. Well, there was a plan that could break the designs of that Lord and stop that stuff he's trying to do. I'm going a little over, but we're going to finish up here in just a second. A man-child, or literally from the Greek again, not the Hugashaga, Hebrew that was Greek, only not really. It was a stronger one, who was brought forth with not a rod of iron, because, you know, Scott didn't want to get into that Greek. You remember Breaker 19 said he run away from Greek. Maybe Scott runs with them. Maybe they're running partners. I don't know. But it was a stronger one than the dragon. And he had him a strong wand. Again, when you look at it in the Greek and not the Hugashaga, it ties the woman and her offspring to nature, to earth, like partners. That child was called up to heaven. It was a revelation because they knew the Lord was barred from the heavens ever since he done wrecked everything in the first. So it was kind of like we'll protect them. The church, the good folks, those of us that don't want to follow that rat bastard, you know, that one Darty talks about, that old snake, they're taken from the reach of the snake. They're taken beyond the reach of the snake, of that old snake. Is there actually a picture of something coming up to show us some redemption, a way to get ourselves out of this system and up to a place where we can be in charge of our own destiny? Is it kind of like the Adapa of the Sitchin materials? Is it a picture Inky, Yeshua the Christ, offering that sacred food and drink to all the Adapa, all the humanities? That's us. All of us that, you know, we're like gods in training because we got that God essence in us. We're supposed to be Elohim someday. Are we be given an opportunity to get back to our divine potential? Now somebody's going to say, man, I don't really like thinking about them having a wand because it's a magical wand in the Greek. It means like a wand of intention. That's in the Greek. It's like a wand of kind of like a Harry Potter, only not fake, but real. That's what the language really says. He was given a strong wand of intention. Now, don't let yourself get upset because you've been told for 2,000 years that magic is bad. When all magic is a word for the directed use of your own human intention. All it is you taking that spark of divinity right inside y'all and just, you know, focusing it on what you want to be. Remember Darty talking about being excellent to you because you know you got that spark of divinity in you. And then I want you to be excellent to Brother Jeff too, because you know, even though I'm a little bit uncultured at times, I got that spark of divinity right down in me too. And that's what they were saying in Proverbs 23. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. It's not what you eat. It's what comes out of your mouth. It's not what goes in your mouth. It's what comes out of your mouth that makes you defiled. A good man, out of the good treasures down in his heart, brings forth what's good. An evil man is what brings forth that which is evil. That's what intention means. That's what magic means. And that's why we was given that strong wand. So we can overcome the intention of the Lord, which is to put us in a sheep pen and have that old lizard, his lizard people rule over us, and he's a big lizard, and then there's a little gecko, hi, I'm Paul, telling us all his stuff. And so the woman sought safety during the night. That's what it says in the Greek. She sought safety in the night. The true worshipers sought a place of divine protection. They said they went into the wilderness. Uncultivated nature, it says in the Greek. A solitary place that provides needed quiet and freedom from disturbance. You know, y'all, Darty's always talking about you got to get quiet. You got to do you some meditating. He's not just making that stuff up. He's not pulling it from swamp gas out of Uranus. It's coming from this word right here, this Greek. And it gives us even more reason to believe that this earth right here, it's a conscious female being. Because she done prepared a place from the Elohim that would be taken care of. A place had already been made by the Elohim. That's in the Greek. So that she, which is we, could grow and be fed and nourished. And in the morning, the Christ would go up into a solitary place. It shows us, folks, that the nature, the wreath, and the wand, it talks about us meditating. It talks about us being nourished in development and growing ourselves during this period of darkness. Darty says that he gets people writing them all day long saying, can we really beat the Lord? I know you think we can beat the Lord, but can we beat the Lord? Because we heard nothing but scary story after scary story. The little gecko, oh, it's scary, scary, scary. You know, the gecko done scary, 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 telling us all this stuff. And people are like, oh, Jeffrey, can we even beat this old devil, this snake? Well, all this stuff here is written to let y'all know that if we use the wreath, if we use the strong wand, which is our intention, our focusing of our inner divine, divinity, that spark. Not even a divine spark could help this old stinky thing. That was $10 thrown right out the window. That ain't no strong wand. But yes, you can beat the devil. Yes, you can beat this old snake. The Elohim done worked it in from the beginning. And how do you beat that? Well, where did she escape to? She escaped to a pagan place. Oh, you going to say that they wanted us to go to the pagans? Again, that little old gecko and the big old snake and people like Scott, probably nice feller, but don't know nothing but what the gecko tells him. Paul the gecko. Oh, I'm Paul. Nobody said I was an apostle but me, but now everybody done believed it. We're going to wrap this up with this because I know it's getting long. This verse is telling y'all about how true spirituality retreated into the country, literally into, pagan just means somebody from a country district. Pagan just means somebody that's a country dweller. Y'all want to know what pagan look like? Take a good look. Here's pagan right here in front of you. Country folks. Dwellers out in the sticks. What happened is spiritual folks retreated out of Rome and all them big cities where they said you got to have this money that come from the Caesar if y'all want to eat and all that. So what they did is said, no, we're not going to deny the gods. We're not going to deny our inexpressible ones. No. What we're going to do is we're just going to escape to that place that was prepared for us. And that place was paganism. And it ain't no surprise, even a simple feller like me can understand that that's the reason why the Bible's so negative against paganism. And pagan, outside of being a country boy like me, pagan just means, and Darty, that feller was born and raised right in Florida. And not only that, all his kin from his daddy's side, they're from Kentucky. Kentucky is definitely country. And on his mama's side, they're all from Tennessee. So yeah, Darty's as country as they come. So you could say he's pagan in the Bible way, the good way. And then that secondary part of pagan, if you look it up on that Google thing, you know, them computers, it says a person that holds religious beliefs other than the main dominant world religion. So what this is talking about is that the offspring of the true gods, them Elohims, them ladies, them men, them male, them female gods, well, the ones that come from them, they weren't going to take on this new system, this beast system. They would be carried out into the country. They weren't going to take this main world religion. No, they'd go into the country for a time so they could be safe. That's an exact match for the word pagan. People that didn't want to buy into that Roman Pauline gecko whispering in your ear, I'm a little gecko, Paul. I'm in control of it all, 'cause I serve the rat bastard, the big old snake. People didn't want to buy into that. They fled those big old cities and the big old culture, and they retreated into the country or the wilderness, where they could just keep to them own selves, and they could just worship the Elohim as they pleased. And there's a whole bunch of history right here for it. During the Middle Ages, most people lived 20, 30 people in a city, had great big old fields. They would plow them some beans. They'd get them some cows, some goats, some sheeps. The peasants, and this is coming from, where's this coming from? It's from localhistory.org, some more smart fellers. Didn't have no reason to be writing, weren't humashagging you, weren't back engineering, because they already done figured it out. They tell you what happened. So all these people, they would just live, and they would rest on the holy days. They'd do some hard work the rest of the days. Sounds like people living according to their indigenous religions, you know, the ones that served all them male and female gods and goddesses. They were worshiping in their nature-centric fashion. Not sure what Darty means by that, but I'll read it. Just like the Elohim said, and not like what that old snake was telling Paul to tell y'all. Now, I think we probably ought to drop it off right there. We done caught up with Scott. And I think maybe we'll, if Darty lets me, we'll do Scott one more time just to show you. Ain't nothing to be scared of coming up on no September, October, November. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm only afraid of like April 15th. That scares me a little bit. But you got to understand that when you get out of the Hugashaga and the pay me now kind of church, like Scott, nice guy probably, but he's part of this system that's enslaving y'all. And the thing I like about it is it just makes plain good sense. And all this is out of this book down here that Darty done wrote. He even did the cover on that one. Look what he's got on the front, that rat bastard. Oh, good Lord. Well, folks, you know, we need to get on out of here. I ain't got all night to just sit here and talk about this kind of stuff. Y'all ain't got no time to just listen to me. But think about it now. Because y'all felt, girls and guys, you got the right to believe what you want to believe. You don't got to do what they tell you to do. You can listen to your own intuition. You can listen to what the gods say to you. You don't got to listen to that little gecko. Hi, I'm Paul. I'm a gecko. So he's weaving a tale that's got to be back engineered and all queered up and turn into this and turn into that and da-da-da-da-da-da. Darty just talking about it right as it comes, right from that scripture. I'm a simple feller. And there's something out there called Occam's razor, I think they call it. And it says that the simplest explanation is the right one. This is anything but simple. This is plain, simple, from the original languages, so that people like you and me can read it, we can do it, we can be excellent to each other, and we can kick the ass of that old rat bastard snaky devil and that little gecko. Gecko, get out of here, gecko! I see a gecko, I'm gonna stomp on him. Ha ha!
Well, folks, there he was, Brother Jeff. Pagan is as pagan does. He is country, but he is my brother, and we're being excellent to each other. Very good work by Brother Jeff, I think. Very interesting work by Brother Jeff. He did a fairly nice job breaking down that final message of the last apostle, didn't he? And I think he did a very good job and a respectful job breaking down the information from Scott Clarke, ERFministries.com. Again, if you can help me with my technical questions, I'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to sponsor this work, my PayPal is GothamLTD.com, like GothamLimited.com. And I have a Patreon page, which I will link in the box below. We will also link the final message of the Last Apostle book. It is still on sale for $1.99. Folks, it doesn't have to be complicated. Occam's razor. Can you believe Brother Jeff knew what Occam's razor was? I was shocked. But, you know, there's a reason why they say keep it simple. Some people say keep it simple, stupid. I just say keep it simple and sweet. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, trying to give you some information to help you unwind your mind, trying to help you unindoctrinate yourself, and be excellent to each other.